Welcome to Celebrate Recovery. We are so glad that you chose to be here on this Friday night.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ who struggles with fear and selfishness. My name is Josh, and I serve as the pastor of Celebrate Recovery here at Southern Hills.
And I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I struggle with fear and anger and codependency. And my name's Tammy, and I'm the director of recovery here.
Celebrate Recovery is a Christ-centered 12-step program for any hurt, habit, or hang-up. When you come to Celebrate Recovery, what you'll see is that lives really do change in Christ-centered recovery.
So we hope that you are encouraged by what you are going to hear.
I first came to Celebrate Recovery for drug addiction to opiates. My addiction had taken over my life. I lost multiple jobs. I was emotionally, spiritually, and financially bankrupt. I spent most of my 20s in and out of rehabs and ultimately ended up in prison.
It's kind of just hopeless and just lost any point of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I came to CR when I had been taken to jail multiple times, and it was kind of my last straw. I couldn't shake my addiction. I couldn't disappoint my family any more than I already had, and I was broken in every facet of my life.
Celebrate Recovery is what saved my life.
I came to CR because our marriage was in trouble, and I told my husband he better go or I was going to leave him. And several months later, he said, "I think you might get something out of this too."
Well, for many, many years, I tried to hide so many secrets that occurred in my family growing up. We were at church every time the doors were open, but there were secrets in our family of sexual abuse and drug abuse, alcohol abuse. I always say, how does a person know what dysfunction was or is when dysfunction is all they've ever known?
When I first came to CR, I had lost hope. I'd given up.
I was at my manicurist visit and started kind of sharing with her some of the things going on in our lives, and she says, "Well, you need to go to CR." I was like, "Well, what is CR?" And she told us all about it and went home and told Ben about it, and we agreed to try it.
These men were sharing from their hearts like they had been doing that all their lives. And I wanted to be that transparent, and I saw that part of my problem was I had isolated myself.
It's given us a safe place, given me a safe place to unpack some of the baggage that I've carried for a lot of years.
I broke down lots of lies that I believed, that I couldn't share my story, I couldn't confess things that I've done, have dealt with, and I found that that wasn't the case at all. I'm reminded of where it says in the Bible, confess so you may be healed, confess your sins so that you may be healed. And CR created a safe place for me to be able to confess so I could begin a healing journey, a healing process.
I think for me, Celebrate Recovery has helped repair the damage that was caused from my addiction. It has allowed me to experience God's plan for my life. I have 3 years clean now. I now have a great career, a happy marriage, and we just welcomed our first child.
Not only did I learn how to deal with the meth and the alcohol addiction, but I also learned what the root of the problem was. It wasn't just that I was a drug addict and an alcoholic. There were underlying issues.
The 12-step recovery that we do, the step study is what we call it, it had the biggest impact on my life when I started. I had a lot of issues, and you pull them all out and you discuss them, you talk about them, and then you kind of just let them go, and they lose their power. And through that, I have found room to give myself room to grow. I get to be the person I was meant to be, and I get to be the most authentic version of myself.
I finally came out of denial of who I am, an adult child of family dysfunction, and I began to deal with all those hurts and then eventually habits that I'd begun creating, CR gave me the tools to deal with that.
What is awesome to me is God is so patient. He doesn't require me to get the house clean the first day. He's okay with me cleaning one room or maybe just doing the sweeping. It's a process, but at the end, the house is clean.
The more I threw myself into CR and the more I threw myself into recovery and just that desire for the change, that the easier it got and the better it got. It's just, if you just keep coming back.
My addiction took a lot of work, and so does recovery.
I'd like to tell the newcomer that if you put as much effort into your hurts, habits, and hang-ups as you do your recovery, it's gonna work. That's what it takes. It takes surrendering. We don't hand out that blue chip by accident. We hand it out every single time that we have a Celebrate Recovery meeting, and it's because that surrender is necessary.
But just know it doesn't have to be lonely, that you find just great accountability and some community. I think that's a key word for me, is I found community in Celebrate Recovery.
To stick with it, that the peace you see on the other side when you're not a slave to these addictions and emotions of the past, it's quite a freedom, a feeling of freedom that's out there for you.
I realized through Celebrate Recovery that God can take the thing that I'm ashamed of most, and He can use that for the benefit of others. And He has. You know, you hear He can take our mess and make a message, and He has. It can seem so hopeless, life can, and like there's no way out. But if we can just embrace it, He wants to use that mess, what is so ugly in our lives, and make a message.
There's a better life out there, and God has plans for your future. I now experience joy and peace that I never thought was imaginable because of working this program.
Be brave and bold and take those steps towards healing and freedom.
If I want to change my behavior, I have to change my heart. Well, I can't change my heart, but God can, and CR is a great vehicle for that to happen.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Maybe when you heard those testimonies tonight, you thought, is that kind of change really possible for me? And Tammy and I want you to know change is possible for you. Christ-centered recovery, Christ being at the center of your life makes a difference. So keep coming back. Don't quit before the miracle happens. We are so glad you're here.